Hey everybody, Mike Nichols, product designer for the editor group. Going to be going over some of the items that we are working on from a UX standpoint in milestone 13.0. As this is my first milestone, taking over for Marcel, still kind of getting up to speed, so working through a few things. But one of the main things that has carried over into 13.0 is the dark theme that we've been putting in place for the editor. While a lot of that work is happening in the current milestone, in 13 we're looking at some of the edge cases, things like the right-hand sidebar and drop downs and modals and markdown. So let's look at the markdown preview styling. There's not a lot of work to be done here, but I brought this one up because I think this might be an interesting cross-stage opportunity with the static site editor group. Michael, I know that you, in your video, were discussing markdown, so it might be interesting to get your perspective here on markdown in the context of dark mode and the implications of that. Another thing I thought was interesting in a comment for the dark theme for modal, which we actually aren't doing in 13.0, but Marcel had brought up a point about how material design deals with dark mode. What's interesting in dark mode is depth becomes a real problem because you can't rely on kind of the go-to there is generally shadows, which don't work well on dark mode. So you kind of have to use some other tools in the toolbox. So the link that he had there was a very interesting read. The long and short of it is basically using light. So the higher things go, closer to the light source it is. So things actually get lighter as they increase in depth in dark mode. It's an interesting approach and something I hadn't considered before. Other than dark mode, we are working on a few other things, some errors. So one was just improving error messaging when you basically had gotten to the Web IDE, but don't have permissions to edit things. This one does bring up an interesting point that I think kind of crosses all of GitLab, is that we a lot of times look at blocking people from getting the things that they can't get to. But the way this one actually comes up is by entering a URL. So it's a good kind of message, I think, for everybody to kind of think about is, can somebody get to a feature that we think that they can't via a URL? And then how do we gracefully handle those errors in that situation? And the last one I want to talk about is one that I've been excited about. It's actually not slated to be worked on in 13.0, but I'm doing a little design work for it. The reason why I'm excited about it is because it's my own kind of personal pet peeve, one that's been open for 10 months. But basically, when uploading a new file to the Web IDE, there's this new button here, which when I first started to GitLab caused confusing for me. I actually uploaded stuff accidentally to a folder that I didn't mean to. So basically the idea here is to, if you are in a nested folder, to pre-populate that upon clicking on this with the associated folder. So we're hoping this will reduce some user error and some user confusion. That's all I had to talk about. Let me reach out if you have any questions or anything you'd like to talk about further. Thank you.